Right, let's go, guys. Welcome. Well, I misspelled welcome. Remove. Good morning, everybody. I can't stay too long for the Patristic Faith Q&A discussion. I gotta go teach the logic class, but let's see, announcements. Let's see if we have any super chats. We thank you for your support and help in our ministry. Dave, thank you. God bless you. Donates $10. And Phil in the Wolf sends in £5. Thank you for your prayers. Your streams are very helpful. Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys appreciate it. What was I going to say? News announcements. We have how many days left until the discount tickets end for the early bird? I don't know why this isn't working. 1, 2. Hold on, my calendar is shut off. My computer's CPU usage is not doing well. Down again. I'm just gonna pull up my phone calendar because my computer doesn't want to cooperate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Just under a week for you to get your discounted tickets at MontaNIKA. And you can get those here, and then they go up to regular price. So don't procrastinate. People often do carpools if flying's too expensive. But there it is. Thank you for the... Oh, yeah. You already got it on there. Sorry, I'll remove that then. Okay, other news. I can show you. Let's go to shop. So if you go to Patristic Faith shop, I haven't added it in, but I've got good news for all of you, and I'm going to get some feedback. I've already had several people express their interest. But as you know, in the Patristic Faith store, you can access pre-recorded university course lectures, either a third or full course, or you could spend a little bit more and actually do the full interactive university course with grades, test, exams, live office hours every week. So far, we've had an ethics. Logic's a little bit more because there's more materials and things, costs associated, and more kind of time. The ethics university course interactive Canvas course is $750. So is the intro and the logic's $850. Good news. There was a lot of interest in epistemology course, and guess what? I built it. Here it is, and we can do a tour of basically what the Canvas interactive course actually is, because it's not just pre-recorded lectures, it's a full university asynchronistic online course for a fraction of the price, taught by myself, a university professor, and what you have here is a home page for the epistemology course. And then you can go click here and it jumps into the syllabus. And it's a breakdown of the course requirements, ELOs they're called, electric light orchestra. Now, expected learning outcomes, course objectives. All of this satisfies, meets the standards because I've taught, this is the exact course that I teach at the college and university. It meets all the standards of an accredited college, although we have not got this to be accredited yet. So, but there's possibly working on that. So no worries about that. But it does meet the standards of everything because it's the exact same course. Course requirements. There's a breakdown of obviously grading, homework, quizzes, attendance, check-in assignments, epistemology project, rough draft on a final paper. And it talks about that in the syllabus. And then it goes through, it's all built out. Like I finished it all last night. You'll see that the required textbooks are Lawrence Bonjour's Epistemology and Duncan Pritchard's What is this thing called Knowledge, because week by week we're going through that. So obviously week 1, when you start this course, it's just an introduction to what is knowledge, what is epistemology. Week 2, the classical problems in epistemology. So we read Descartes' Epistemology and Bonjour. The concept of knowledge, week 3, and you have the chapters in both those texts. The problem of induction, a priori justification of knowledge, immediate experience, week 6. Week 7, knowledge in the external world. Further epistemological issues that we go over in week 8, stuff concerning the problem of other minds, testimony, memory, and how that's used in knowledge or could threaten us. The concept of knowledge. Week 9, contemporary responses to the Cartesian program. Foundationalism. Week 10, we go into coherentism. Week 11, internalism and externalism. Week 12, Quine and naturalized epistemology. Week 13, knowledge and skepticism. 14 concludes the textbooks. Week 15, we watch a famous philosophy debates and review them. And week 16 is when you submit your epistemology project and final paper. And you can see the you have announcements, assignments, modules, quizzes, like that. These aren't published. They're published as we go. You'll see the different reading assignments, homework, and that's calculated into your grade, and then those are published each week. Now, you can go through that by a week or go at your own speed. Obviously, you get a lot more out of it when you do week by week, if you can, in terms of time and devotion, dedicate that, because these attendance check-in assignments are really helpful too, just to be regularly plugging in, and then also just taking advantage of the live office hours each week through the Zoom. So it is up if you are interested in that course. If we can get at least 5 people to sign up for that, we'll kick that off and as soon as possible. So I'm really excited about that. Finally finished it. It's a wonderful course, and without all the wokeness and without the costs. All right, let's see. Not Strong, $20. Well, thank you. Isn't it considered rude to visit a parish once and then try another one testing the waters? No. Why would it be rude? I mean, don't you have to see Length's fine. I mean, anytime's a good. Jeb, I think I want to move people away from thinking about purpose. I think that's confusing for people. I use the term. I don't use non-teleological non. Now that's true. It's implied in that, but it just goes further into stuff that I just make it as simple as possible. So, because otherwise people are going to get all confused about evolution, different stuff like that, and be like, why can't you get this out of a non-purposeful? I don't say that. I didn't use that in my argument. I said accidentalism. So either there's intention behind the universe, and of course, yeah, a further conclusion is that there's teleology and purpose, but you don't need to go there. People make this argument way more complicated than it needs to be. Is there a personal God that has an intention when he creates? If so, there's intention behind everything in the universe. In other words, ultimately, we explain the universe, the laws, knowledge in terms of intention. So I think it's like a bells go off and red flags if you use purpose, but you use intention. The opposite category of that is, well, if there's no something, you don't do something with an intention, it's an accident. So accidentalism. You cannot explain knowledge in terms of the thing that it excludes. Knowledge excludes accident. There is no accidental knowledge. You can't you can't by chance or accident get a true belief, and anybody, even an atheist or any epistemologist, would say, well, that's accidentally arrived at true belief is knowledge. So it's an oxymoron to explain knowledge strictly by the thing it excludes, namely accident. Laws excludes accident, necessity, all the things, and so it's self-defeating. It's contradictory, and it doesn't. So by impossibility, the contrary. It's pretty easy. So I'm saying. So avoid like, well, couldn't things come out of accident? We're not talking about the history. We're talking about a epistemic or semantic principle by which you explain something. You cannot explain something by the thing that something excludes. That's it. It's as easy as, I really don't know why people make this so difficult. It's one of the easiest arguments to grasp. We're answering questions here. In here. Fred, of those courses, the 1/3 are just pre-recorded lectures. In case, I mean, you still get a lot. I mean, if, like, let's say some of these are like, I don't know, 26-hour-and-a-half lectures. But there's no interaction between me as the professor and you. That's why they're at a really discounted rate. So you get like 8 or 9 lectures. That's still an hour-and-a-half lectures. And then usually if somebody wants more, I'll give them a deal. Yeah, smash the like button. Oh, God bless you, Evie. God grant you many years. What was the question? Was it an earlier question? I don't see any other questions earlier. Did I miss something? No? Jet Blanco makes $375 an hour. That's about what I get paid at the university, actually. It's amazing that I'm able to survive on. Isn't that stupid? You work your whole life to get terminal degree, PhD, go to seminary, and I'd actually make more working at McDonald's than if I was. But there's greater things than making money. Either one of those you could start with. It's really an introduction to epistemology, so there's no prerequisites really required. For epistemology is difficult, I'll tell you that though. Where's the question though? Let me check if there's a super chat question. I'd say you benefit more from well, the logic's always a great foundational, but we don't have anybody. I haven't started up the logic yet, so I think the most beneficial is to get the most people signed up for epistemology, because one of the things, the more people we get in the class, the better it is for you guys, because there's assignments where there's discussion threads. Yeah, there is a famous ancient council on tobacco. There are about 305 bishops from around the world that all came together, and they said, you know what? There is this terrible heresy of tobaccoism spreading through the empire, and we got to do something. I mean, it's just no, there is no and you'll get varying opinions from different priests. I know one priest said that, God wants you to be happy and enjoy tobacco sometimes. Obviously, different ways of taking tobacco could be more harmful than others. Dark Kentucky Light, yeah. Pipe tobacco's great. Pipes smell great. I think this is what you need to think about. You need to make sure you're not a legalist, rigorist, the R word, or everything's a sin. This question has come up. I've taken it to the priests around here and asked, and I said, let's take the most taboo one, smoking cigarettes. Is that a sin? Well, there's different notions of sin. There's just kind of the general sense of missing the mark. But all the priests that I had talked to had said, unless it was so out of control that it was destroying your life and soul, they said, they wouldn't require it to be confessed. The sins that they're talking about are what soul destroying actions and deeds. It could get that way for somebody. Probably not, generally speaking. But they did say, is it good for you? No. Can you do better? Yes. But it's a sort of kind of legalistic, which it itself is probably more damaging than. The other thing too is if you typically consider that a sin, like it just opens the door. It's like, well, we could go through your diet then. And I mean, if that's a sin that needs to be confessed, then it opens the door. And I guarantee most of you that in that sense would be sinning in terms of your diet. What's your sugar intake? Carbohydrate intake? Like, do you see how autistic it gets? It's typically the Zoomers that they're the worst about. The Zoomers don't take risks. This is why they went to the safe version, right? Which is obviously going to be, I think we're finding out it's probably worse than actually cigarettes, is vapes. Safe smoking. Everything's safe, right? Zoomers tend to not drink or smoke, take risks, live in their parents'. There's not a notion of, there's kind of a shelterness with the Zoomer mentality. And not an independence that you see in, certainly in my generation X, and I would say boomers too, certainly have an independence. It all changes with millennials. There's kind of, millennials think in terms of group. I do know that a lot of people, adding propylene glycol. There's some health benefits to artificial nicotine. As a neurotropic. Yes, we did have Unlisted Logos. We do have plans to do a philosophy of science course. But you're just going to get different opinions from different, like, there's no council on, I'm not an autist about it. It's like, no, I probably agree with the priests up here that it's not typically something you would confess. It's not a soul-destroying action. You can do better, just like you could do better with your health and food and stuff like that, and that's the way you think about it. I will be doing also Zoomers are Zoomers tend to really fall into the kind of legalist, hyper rigidity, black and white cognitive distortions. I'd say more so than most generations, because it's just kind of a reaction to the chaotic world that they're brought up into. There's a lot of insecurities. Again, we don't live in a time in which you find yourself and your independence in an early age. Everything is kind of in the group, in the sense of, you think about Zoomers are raised in online. The internet basically came, we didn't have it was invented obviously around the time I was born, but it doesn't really come out until later, so we didn't, I was outside all the time. We're doing dangerous stuff. We're pushing the boundaries of reality, and there wasn't really groupthink. It was about finding your independence. You fought things out on the street, and you found your way, and it developed a real sense of an individual. And there wasn't participation awards and all these different things. You had to work hard to become your own unique kind of identity. And millennials, it all changes. Millennials grow up in the group, that they find their identities, and it's the participation awards. I think there's extreme insecurity. Like, Gen X is cynical. That's one thing that I'd be like, are you going to change the world? No. Is there anything I'm going to do? Right. There's a sort of kind of healthy cynicism, but yet they're still innovators and creators. Millennials are obsessed with, oh, I want to change the world. I want to, and it's in terms of, like, I'm trying to figure out how to I've explained this before. The group. It's all about group verification with the millennials. So I think there's less independence with. I think there's more insecurity with. My brother's on the cusp of, and that's interesting too, Gen X and millennial. I think he's like 84 or something like that, 83. And so he's an interesting guy because he has some of the Gen X mentality, but he has a little bit of millennial. Some people say millennials are the worst generation. What's the one, the newest one? After Gen Z? But yeah, Zoomers trip me out. Like, I don't want to take a sip of the beer because I'm afraid I'll become an alcoholic. It's like... And the other thing, too, is Gen Z is a weird thing because they hate boomers. They're like Protestants. They've literally defined themselves an antithesis to an entire generation. I often see kind of a lot of the... Maybe this began in the kind of group think of millennialism, but the moral kind of piety, that certainly comes across as millennials. I don't drink or smoke or do dangerous things because I'm better than, alpha generation. Yeah, I had a conversation with, like, my friend said, isn't that generalizing and simplifying? It's like, yeah, that's you want to... Don't you want to generalize and put things into genre and categories that... Or do you blur it all up in your mind and just be like, well, it's all the same. Everything's the same. Of course, there's outliers and stuff like that. But generally speaking, there's something... There's a this. There's something there is to be in each generation. You can see that in the clothes, the music. And I find that fascinating. I'd love to, like, do a deep dive into... Let's see if we have any more super chats. I think I'm particularly interested in it because as an educator, professor, seeing the challenges, also as clergy as well, that what is it that the Z generation, those are the people I'm working with the most, what do they struggle with? And that's why I said for my workshop, I'm going to do Therapia workshop is cognitive distortions, hyperrigidity, hyperreligiosity, orthospurgism, this kind of cognitive distortion, like this kind of legalistic. I was just talking with Father Russell about it. I'm like, you see it all over, and also the putting the glaze of the moral. We just had somebody here last time, like yesterday, right? Moral tone policing me for saying the vitriol. Me, I was displaying of being vitriol towards heresy. It's like, well, what makes you think you're in a position to start morally calling out clergy? And it's always, as we always say, oh, you're not being nice. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not being nice to heresy and error and things that destroy people's souls. And I think that comes a lot, that kind of nicety, that could be something associated to the boomers in some sense. In the other sense, like there was, a way that men could, talk rough and tough to one another. So there's some combination of something from, I think, from the millennials and the boomers that comes together to weaponize kind of language and this kind of moral piety that the Zoomers adopt and are very, very bad at. So I want to break that and help people heal. Hush Tones donates $9.99. Thank you, Father Deacon. As a new catechumen attend liturgy and coffee, how should I conduct myself in conversation? I feel like my mind is too interested in the world. Best thing to do with anything conversation, ask questions of the other person. And listen. Be a good listener. Work on listening. I mean, they don't hate boomers. Maybe some of them do. But they think they're better than boomers. I had somebody come up to me and was like talking about how how stupid boomers are, and I'm like, your generation is just as stupid, just in a different way. How so? Oh, Jay, you're right. Maybe it's millennials. Maybe Zoomers are a little bit more lighthearted. You're right. I'd say millennials. And then Gen Z is kind of more lighthearted about. Anyways, Hush Tones, hopefully that answers your question about practice. Practice asking question. Be like, oh, well, what do you do? Or how was your week? Or what'd you think of this? And be a good listener. That's interesting. Are millennials more like boomer or Gen Z's more like boomers? Why don't I do a stream on how to be mean in a world that's forcing you to be nice? Next week, Father Deacon Ananias will. Hi, I'm Father Deacon Ananias. Have you ever wondered, how do I get to be mean in a world that's forcing me to be nice? What? Yeah, it's crazy. It was still not completely accepted. Like, it was kind of weird. Like, it was kind of like taboo. Like, if you heard about kids growing up, the Gen X kids. Like, if you, like, you take like, what do they call you? A spaz? Oh, he's a spaz. He has to take his meds, right? That was the joke. And now every kid's on Adderall. It's crazy. When I was up on Big Mountain Whitefish, I got on a lift with a pharmacist um, for I think for Purdue Pharmacy. It was like he makes OxyContin and stuff like that. It was really, I actually had a really interesting conversation with him about um, medications and addictions and stuff like that, and about like finding out like most of my students are on Adderall. Um, a lot of them might be on SSRIs as well. We are in the polypharmacy era for sure. Um, virtue and a pill. Um, which is amazing. So the Z generation, we're in the most heavily medicated era, yet the Z generation is afraid of having a beer or a cigarette. I tell you the joke, if I saw on Twitter, some Zoomer was like, oh, my friends pressured me into having a puff out of a cigarette. Am I going to get cancer and die? And everybody was just dug in, like, rip. Yeah, sorry, man, you're a goner. And I'm like, gosh, as Zoomers in the chat, can you tell me, like, is that the sort of kind of fear that you live in? Because on the opposite spectrum, which was not great, I didn't have any fear. I did have a little bit of fear. I had a fear of I was talking with somebody that I've had some friends that had like no boundaries whatsoever, no concept of fear. Most of them actually went to jail because of that. The two fears that I did have: getting arrested and going to jail. So I had a concept of the future, and I'm like, yeah, there's like I'll push the boundaries as far as I can go, but there's certain like I'm probably not gonna knock off this bank or like those are things that like I might have been hesitant about, whereas other friends were like, let's go for it. Because I knew, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, but I know that I'll be severely limited if I'm a felon. And I don't want that. As a young kid, teenager growing up, I had that concept. It kept me in line somewhat. And I actually had a concept of fear, a pretty healthy fear of my parents, that I don't want to get in trouble with my parents. And, there was this pushing the kind of boundaries, like, but how far could I get away? And still, the odds are I might not get in trouble. I definitely had that. But I think back on some of the stuff that I used to do that it was just like, I had a Jeep Cherokee 4-wheel drive, and I'd drive through people's yards. I'd launch it off. I was 16 years old, launching that thing off, like, if you had like a row with a train track, or like an abandoned, like where they had knocked down like a building that has a chain link fence. I'd crash through the fence with my buddies and rip around and go off make jumps off the dirt mounds and stuff like that. I even took my Jeep Cherokee. I found a BMX park with his kids around there. I just like, and started launching off, and the kids are all running out of the way. So, no, like in that sense, it's like danger, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm having a, I'm good, right? Risky behavior and stuff like that. It's amazing that, you know, Gen X are still. So I didn't get dreads until I was 18. So in high school, I didn't. I just had long hair. And, but anyways, I was just thinking, I'm like, I just can't. I mean, once in a while, I'll see like some Zoomers that are crazy like that. But I mean, it's like straight up. What was cool about the 90s too, it really. So I think there's, let's see, there's always a couple decades later, something comes back. So what we're seeing now is that, you know, the 80s was super like cool to be into. I think we're actually moving into, we're going to start picking up 90s styles. But when I was in the 90s, the kind of Dazed and Confused 70s vibe was like, that was definitely in. And we had a lot of different kind of groups, like the Greasers and different people, but like, you know, it does kind of remind me when I watched like Dazed and Confused. I was like, it kind of reminds me of what it was like high school. All right. Y2K vibes. I'm going to wrap it up in 2 minutes. Therefore, if you have any questions, please send in a super chat. I'll take those first. Tommy, yes, you're correct. Don't think jurisdiction. Think locale, proximity, and good fit. That's crazy. Yeah. We're going to bring Jenkos back. Do you guys want to see something really funny? So we had on Saturday, at our local ski resort, retro day. So we got to dress up, and there was a contest. I didn't win, but it was cool to see everybody up there. Saw the president of Carroll College and his wife, and so obviously they'd taken some photos, and you gotta see this. So this was my outfit for retro day. It's Dr. Sek and Victoria. Great classics professor and master of Greek and Latin. He's even got his carol. That's cool. Yeah, there it is. I've got the colored bands, the hair band. I had to let the hair down. That was my retro outfit. And let's see. And then skiing with my buddy Tim here. Let's see if I can get this. And then we gotta go. Look at, we still have powder. Look at this runs that we found back here. Still some awesome spots.
There really are some awesome spots in there. There you go.
So speaking about generation, but I was joking that there's my new skis, my cat trying them out. I was joking that somebody's got to get the Jenkos, right? Get the 90s, the visor, Jenkos, and the different beads and stuff like that. That was definitely a vibe. Jenkos are back. All right. That is it. I think unless we have another super chat. Let me check. I don't want to miss anybody. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe if you haven't. I see that we've got Cameron has subscribed. Thank you. Please like. And please contact me. You can always contact me at FatherAnanias@PatristicFaith.com. If you are interested in the epistemology course, once we get 5 people interested, I'll kick that up and start that off. So tell a friend. I was actually tempted to put wear these blue jeans. Blue jeans with the, but I was like, they don't have enough pockets to put stuff in. What starts after Lent? '90s jeans are coming back. I see them in the girls. All right. That's up to you guys. I don't have to start it after Lent. If you want to, we can. Typically what I'll do is if once we get 5 people interested, I'll ask among you what date. And then also, as far as the weekly, usually every week we can do, unless, I'm away, an hour tutoring office hour, live office hour. Typically what I do is I talk to everybody and be like, what's the best day, week, and time? And then pick that as far as the live office hours. Which itself, even if you didn't get any lectures or the course, would be well worth it, because that's like about $1,800 just in tutoring sessions, just in the live. All right, God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support, and may God continue to grant you strength this Lent. And like I said, if you haven't purchased your discount tickets, you got 6 days left for the MontaNIKA Conference. If you're interested, Daldis, almost missed you, brother. $20. Thank you so much. Thank you, Father. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Again, if you are interested in signing up and doing the epistemology university course, Canvas course, asynchronistic course with us, please write me at FatherAnanias@PatristicFaith.com, and I'll put you down as an interested, and then I'll contact all of you. And once we get 5 people or more, we'll decide a date. All right. Good strength. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and let his grace shine upon you. Until next time, brothers, I might be able to do tomorrow, actually. So just keep your eye out. And thank you, Crispy. Thank you, all of you, for joining prayers. Thank you again for the supporters, and everybody in the chat. Until next time, God bless.